Welcome again to Why It Matters. This is the show where I detail and discuss the important events in gaming history that many people do not know about due to age, generational differences, and just in general, life. Today, we are going to be discussing Pokemon TCG, and I have a special guest star, Professor K. Oh yes, the man himself, the TCG master, I would go so far as to say.
But Proto, you're saying it yourself. TCG isn't a video game, it's a card game.
And you would be correct in saying that, which is why I'm mentioning it here so early, because it's important to understand that Pokemon's origins go deeper than just the main series games like Red and Blue. But you are once again correct about TCG being a trading card game and not a video game, and this series applies to video games. Well, you see, because Pokemon TCG blew up right when Pokemon came out, and a Game Boy game was released as well, not to mention the countless third-party apps, programs, websites used to play online, and applications for modern devices like tablets running iOS and Android, as well as TCG Online itself. But when I don't know something, I go and figure it out, and guess what? Professor K is here to lend us a hand. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Professor K.
Hello, Pokemon fans! I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and Proto, thanks so much for having me here on your channel today. I am very excited to discuss the trading card game.
Let me begin by saying I was around in the heyday of the launch of Pokemon, and I'll tell you quickly, after the original game's launch and the anime, Pokemon trading cards came out. And let me tell you, it was an amazing time, and I've got a story for you. I was driving over to a town close to mine to buy a few packs of cards and learn to play a bit. And I swore on my life I'd lose my mind if I pulled a Charizard. And guess what? I sure did pull one. But years later, my mother wouldn't take care of my possessions while I was in the army, so most of my stuff was not only stolen, but sold by an acquaintance. Sad but true. Professor K, why don't you explain how you got involved?
Much like Proto here, I also got involved in the trading card game at the very beginning, all the way back when I was 10, almost 11 years old. I can remember going to the mall, actually, where there was an EB Games. Before it was GameStop, there was EB Games, if those of you who did not know that. I remember my grandma used to take me there, and she used to buy me a couple of packs of Pokemon cards, maybe like once, twice a week or so, opening up base set. And I know, not the very first pack, but either the second or the third pack, I pulled my very first holo, and if my memory suits me correctly, I believe it was a Mewtwo, and ever since then, I was hooked on Pokemon. I loved it, basically for my entire life, until I got to be about a teenager, and you know how that goes when you turn into a teenager. Sometimes you're just like, I'm too cool for Pokemon, but got back into it as an adult and am really excited about it moving forward.
I remember how I was confused that not every Pokemon was available at first in the TCG, which was funny to me looking back, like how they later added the jungle sets and fossil Pokemon. But these massively amazing cards blew up into something more, and since Pokemon Red and Blue was successful, and Yellow was to follow up again with a smash success, it was only natural to create a card game. Enter TCG for the Game Boy.
The Pokemon Trading Card Game is the first Pokemon game in the Trading Card Game series to be released in North America in 2000. It was released on Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console in 2014, making it the first Pokemon game to be released for the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console.
If I recall, Professor K, there was a card released with it, a promo Meowth that knew a move called Cat Punch. Man, TCG games have such cool Pokemon attacks. But Japan got a Dragonite card, so yeah, Meowth for the US. Yay.
I remember that Meowth. I remember buying the game and specifically looking for that promo card to add to my collection. But the greatest Pokemon trading card game players of all time, the Grand Masters in the game, are looking for one player worthy of inheriting the 4 rare legendary Pokemon cards. The game had players duel their way through 8 Club Masters and earn the right to challenge the Grand Masters in the Pokemon Dome.
That is a nice summary of the game, Professor K. Thank you for that. It's important to understand that the game of TCG for Game Boy would basically be the equivalent of putting the 8 gyms together and taking out the exploration of the Pokemon world. It's not hard to see why the game was not as successful, but despite that being so basic, it still sold 3.7 million copies.
Despite it being so basic, as Proto just said, it also saved countless parents at the time money, because packs of Pokemon cards cost anywhere from $3 to $5 per pack. So the Game Boy game is very important as well because it saved many people's pocketbooks.
Yes, but tell them about the unique part of this game.
Though Pokemon builds off using the link cables to trade Pokemon, and Generation 2's Gold, Silver, and Crystal also use the cable for trading, Pokemon TCG actually pioneered the usage of wireless communications in the Pokemon series with the infrared card pop feature.
And that infrared communication basically leads us up to what we have today. Wireless and online trading. Thanks, Pokemon TCG. The game itself, as aforementioned, is short, but difficult for sure. So while there is little to do in the game other than play the card game, there is a rival within the game, 8 clubs and 4 grandmasters with a champion. And competing against these players is a decent challenge, making the game a decent length because of the difficulty, even with little variation of the locations within the game.
Though there are more similarities to the main series, like the sprite size, the overworld accessible by sprites, the rival encounters, and the very strange Tomoki Imakuni Pokemon card and in-game TCG player, this game is very important.
Why it matters, put simply, is that this game paved the way for other series like Pokemon Online, applications, and what we have today.
Perhaps without the Game Boy version of Pokemon TCG, we might not have the modern game, as this game did bolster interest, sales, and was able to teach many players how to play the game easier, faster, and on their own.
I want to hit on one final note. I always found it odd that Nintendo introduced the Game Boy Advance and the e-reader shortly after the Game Boy Color, and subsequently this game, the TCG Game Boy game, then failed to use a device that read cards and converted them into the game's logic. The device took cards and allowed them to be swiped to unlock things within the games. It would not inject anything into the game because it's read-only memory. Read-only meaning it cannot be written to. So I always wondered why, because there were unique Pokemon cards that did work with the e-reader. Then again, why wouldn't Nintendo push the TCG element of Pokemon to use in their e-reader? People could have bought packs of them and then unlock them in the game and play with them with their friends in real life and the game. I thought it would always be an amazing element to the game, but there was no real life trading card games released in between what we have now and the original Game Boy Color one. There was very few to come out, none of them blew up anyways.
It matters because games and game series that are massive and important like Mario and Zelda do not have an amazing card game with it. It takes something special to produce such a card game series to the degree that it is now. Without the Game Boy TCG game, we might not have the same wireless trading system we do now. We might not have as many kids and adults playing the modern TCG games, and we might not even have those TCG games these days anyway.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Professor K. Thank you. So, with that, understand that it matters we had the Game Boy equivalent of the Pokemon trading card game because it was a trailblazer for our current day digital equivalent. And with that, I wish you well, Pokemon fans. I'll let Professor K offer some final parting words.
Even more incredible, years and years later, the Pokemon trading card game is still the fastest growing trading card game in the world right now. It is growing faster than Magic, faster than Yu-Gi-Oh!, and may eventually become the top TCG if things continue going this way, which I think is absolutely incredible, and it could not possibly make me happier to know that such a huge part of my childhood continues to be such a driving force today. Now, I want to thank you very much, Proto, for having me here today in this video. I love talking about the Pokemon trading card game, and I do a lot of that on my channel as well. I do a lot of openings, deck profiles, and show you guys how to actually play the game for those who are interested, and a few other, random series here and there as well. So thank you so much for letting me be here today. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to check out my channel, I'm sure Proto will have a link down there for you guys. And thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you again for your help, Professor K. I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. Give Professor K some love. If you are into TCG, leave me some love by clicking that like button, and as always, good gaming, and God bless.